Yo, how's it going everybody? So I finally finished Neo The World Ends With You last year, and I've got some things to say, so let's talk about it. Neo The World Ends With You is a sequel to the cult classic World Ends With You. The original dropped on the Nintendo DS, and because I skipped out on the DS era, I didn't really get to play it until it was ported to the Switch. The original World Ends With You is made by Square Enix, same folks that made Kingdom Hearts, and co-developed by Jupiter Studio, who made Pokemon Pinball, which honestly deserves more love. Now, I enjoyed the original World Ends With You for its unique gameplay, the banger soundtrack, a super stylish vibe, and a genuinely dope storyline. So when I heard about Neo, I was hyped to dive back into Shibuya and pick up where we left off. But to my surprise, we kick off the game with a brand new protagonist, Rindo and his friend Fred. They get pulled into the Reaper's game, which takes place in an alternate version of Shibuya called the Underground, a world for the deceased. Players have 1 week to complete missions, and if they win, they're brought back to the real world. So far pretty familiar, but here's where things get weird. This time the game's hosted by Shinjuku Reapers in Shibuya. Like, why are the Shinjuku Reapers even here? Shouldn't they be hosting their own game in Shinjuku? And to add to the mystery, our guy Rindo has the ability to rewind time. Like, where did that come from? The game throws questions at you and expects you to hang tight for answers. Soon, Rindo and Fred team up with Nagi, forming the group the Wicked Twisters. These three would be the main protagonists, and they start out as a full team instead of pairs like in the original. From there, it's a full ride of new characters, returning faces, and chaotic twists. Unlike the original, Neo The World Ends With You takes place in a fully 3D Shibuya, and it works out really well. It actually feels very immersive as you get to interact with NPCs and enter shops to buy clothes and eat food for power-ups and stat boosts. The parkour dashing feature really ties in the feeling of traversing a busy Shibuya, which can get pretty addicting. Battling noise in Neo The World Ends With You feels like orchestrating chaos as you maneuver the 3D space. The pin loadout you have equipped to your team can make or break a fight. Pins can be bought in shops or won through battles. The drop rate for pins and money depend on the difficulty you set for yourself. You can play the game on hard mode and move your level closer to 1, and the pin output is plenty. Stronger pins are gained by expanding the social network through side quests and interacting with NPCs to increase your in-game social. Your party comprises of 6 characters, and each character can be equipped with high tier or low tier pins. High tier pins do more damage but have a long cooldown, while low tier pins have a short cooldown and do less damage. You can mix and match and upgrade pins through battling. There are a variety of pins to choose from. Some pins are elemental pins, others offer buffs and debuffs, and some do healing. The goal is to use your pins to increase the groove percentage similar to the sync rate from the first game. However, in Neo, you have to attack an enemy enough where they are marked, and then make sure to land a blow while they are marked to increase the groove percentage. Once your groove hits a certain percentage, you end up doing a special move based on the last move to increase the groove percentage. So if I used a fire elemental to meet the special attack percentage, then that means the special is going to be a huge fire move. There are multiple elemental specials and other specials depending on the pin you used to hit the final groove. Huge shout out to the music of Neo The World Ends With You. The music is a mixture of pop, punk, rap, rock, electronic, and even some J-pop. There's a little bit for everyone. I enjoyed running around Shibuya and listening to how the music changes to reflect the vibe of the area. It was a good way to indicate change in the atmosphere and how people in a certain area of the city were feeling. Conveying the uniqueness of Shibuya through different soundtracks was refreshing to experience. The game manages to keep the unique TWEWY art style that distinguishes it from other RPGs even while moving into the 3D space. Characters look great, their outfits stand out in bold line work of the art style, bringing out each character's distinct personality. The particle effects look cool and the animation is fluid. Returning characters from the previous game have upgraded looks, showing their personal growth. Now let's talk about what I think the game struggled with the most, and that's story and pacing. Neo The World Ends With You has a really hard time progressing its story, and in my opinion that comes from not being able to utilize its main cast. The game relies too much on nostalgia in my opinion. From the beginning of the game to about halfway, the plot moves forward, not because of the payoff of character development, but the introduction and reveal of a character from the previous game. If that's not working, then they use Rindo's rewind powers to move the plot forward. Any troubles or issues, Rindo uses his powers to go back in time and solve the issue or find an alternative solution. This caused issues for me late game because I was not able to connect with any of the characters from the new cast, and therefore felt no urgency or fear when things didn't go their way. Speaking of previous characters, Neku finally does arrive about halfway through the game, and by this time I thought we'd get some answers to what happened to him, why was Shinjuku gone, and why are the Shinjuku Reapers here in Shibuya. But the game fails to answer any of these questions and instead goes full throttle speed running into the endgame. It's here at endgame that Neo sprinkles even more time travel and nostalgia with more returning characters instead of building the relationships between the characters that we've already met. The only character I really enjoyed in defense of this game is Shoka, and I want to say it's because she has a character arc that's not rushed. We're experiencing her relationships with both the Reapers and with Rindo and the gang, but most importantly we get to digest who she is before moving on to plot related things. Now the final act of the game does feel like it drags on for a bit, even though our characters are rushing to find out what's going on and we get a huge info dump at the end. The information that they do provide to us is great, but I just wish it wasn't all at the end. In my opinion, it takes away from the narrative and makes the reveals kinda cheap. What wasn't cheap was the final fight in this game, and I'm gonna tell you guys, it was a really satisfying fight. Mechanically, the fight pushes your pin coordination to the limit. You're dodging wide range AoEs, managing cooldowns, triggering groove chains, and trying not to get wiped out by random insta-kill bursts. All the while, the boss is adapting to your movements, to your pins, so you have to mix things up and make sure that your teammates are still alive. It was a satisfying fight, and I'm glad I got to experience it because a part of me was going to put this game down because of how poor the pacing is in the story. In the end, Neo The World Ends With You is an okay sequel. The combat, gameplay, music, and art style all hit hard. The combat's fun and surprisingly deep. Once you find that perfect pin combo that matches your playstyle, it really opens up and feels great to experiment with. The music is absolute bangers, and the 3D art direction adds a new layer of immersion to Shibuya that the original couldn't quite achieve. But storytelling and character progression could have used more polishing. A lot of these characters feel like they have a lot more to say, more to show, but they are held back. I was left wanting more backstory, more connections, especially with characters later introduced. I really hope Square sees the potential here and gives us either a fully fleshed out third game with a new cast or a mid-quill that bridges the gap between Neo and the first game and gives Neo some more depth. Let me know what your thoughts are. Who's your favorite character from this game and why? Do you think Neo deserves a sequel or a mid-quill? Drop your comments below and I will catch you guys later. Peace out.